Good morning, everyone. It's Lindsey Huddleston back in the building with another SPS Monday Motivation, live from the 313 here at my mom's home, representing the east side. I'm a west side guy, but grew up at my grandmother's on the east side as well, and now home of my mother. You see my daughter over my left shoulder right here. I always get that wrong when I'm doing this. But I hope you guys had a happy Mother's Day. I hope you can have that same energy for Father's Day. Do something, say something, right? But it's okay. Uh, Topic that's been on my mind for a little while, and I'm glad I have an opportunity to share it, is that life is only perfect when it's over. We have this idea of striving for perfection, and it is noteworthy to try to always be your best and do better going forward. But if you think about it, the only time there's perfection in life and everything is just right, we're no longer here. It's when we've come to an end. And I just think it's important that although we have these great ideas about what we want to achieve, and you should continue to always want to be the best and achieve, but not get caught up in the idea of perfection because it can really be the enemy of something good and getting something done. So let's talk about that terminology when you look at it from a psychological standpoint, about what perfection is and the idea of perfectionism. For example, the term is defined as perfectionists set unrealistically high expectations for themselves and others. And again, I said not setting high expectations, unrealistically high expectations for themselves and for others. They are quick to find fault and are overly critical of mistakes. Now, that's a fine line because you want to correct people, you want to help them along the way, whether that is your role as a coach, as a mentor, as a parent. But the other part of it is not being overly critical. I find it with my daughter as she's growing, getting into the preteen ages, there are different experiences that she's having and different things to talk about. But I have to catch myself and say, you know what, Lindsay, be careful that everything you're saying is not a critique, that she doesn't feel that she's always under a microscope. So I think that's something that we all have to be mindful of. And it can be done with the greatest intentions. Oh, I'm just trying to help them. But also realize that if your voice is always one of a critique or always some push that's just too much, you just want to be mindful of that. Also, perfectionists, people who embrace this, they tend to procrastinate a project out of their fear of failure. They shrug off compliments and they forget to celebrate their successes. It's so funny. I was in the city. Shout out to my guy Ramon Thompson, Coach Thompson. We had coached at Henry Ford High School. Got to run into Mike McDaniels. Got to FaceTime with my guy Broderick Knight. Talked to some of my former players. We were out watching some guys play some pickup basketball, and I remember there was one team. This guy had been playing pretty good, and it was point game, and he had so many opportunities to take the winning shot, and he just didn't. He just kept passing it up. So I feel like Kobe Bryant when I talked to him when the game was over. I said, "Man, what's up, man? Why you didn't shoot?" And I think that speaks to his fear of failing. Now, the failure could be losing the game, which he did, but he just didn't want to carry that. So maybe it was that idea of perfection. I thought this was interesting too. Perfectionism comes in the form of three different types. There are three kinds of perfectionism. And I think that was interesting to note that and listen. For example, perfection manifests itself in three domains. There's a self-orientated perfectionism, and it's imposing unrealistic desire to be perfect on yourself. Sometimes we put so many things on ourselves, say, man, I just don't want to do it until it's perfect, until it's right. But sometimes it can't be that. As someone who's launched businesses and had different things, sometimes you got to just get out there. You'll get so caught up trying to be this perfect individual. The other is orientated perfectionism. This other orientated perfectionism, which means it's imposing unrealistic standards of perfection on others. Now, again, I mentioned the coaching part, the mentoring part. That can be tough because you can be saying, man, I really want the best for this young person. I really want them to do the best that they can going forward. But then you can get so caught up in these ideas, and this can be really difficult to be able to get the actual outcome you want because you're striving towards this perfectionism. And lastly, socially, this is prescribed perfectionism involves perceiving unrealistic expectations of perfections from others. So you want people to embrace your same principles. You want people to embrace your same outlook. Now, again, if you have a team or a group or even your family, I get it. But the word perfectionism is really a word that's is untrue because here's the dangers of it. The dangers of perfectionism. Perfection, of course, is an abstraction, an impossibility of a reality. So we got to think about that word when we try to use it. And we say that we're not going to be fine until it's all perfect and until it's all right. We have to keep that in mind. I want to read that again. The dangers of being a perfectionist. Perfection, of course, is an abstraction, It's an impossibility in reality. You can't even be perfect. The word itself means it's something that really can't be done. So you have to think about that word as we try to strive to find fulfillment in what we do. Also, striving for perfection can lead to negative outcomes, like that procrastination we talked about, a tendency to avoid challenges, a rigid all or nothing thinking, toxic comparisons, and a lack of creativity. It'll stop you from being able to move forward because you're so caught up in that, trying to do that. Got my buddy Tino. Good morning, Lindsay. Tino, how you doing today? Happy Mother's Day to your family and whatnot. I hope you're doing well. Good to see you on social media, all as well. So, what I want to do with the remaining time, I found some quotes from people, famous and not, and I thought it was very interesting to read that. This one, and I'll tell you the name after I read the second part. The person states, "I haven't lived a perfect life. I have regrets, but that's from a lifetime of taking chances, making decisions, and trying not to be frozen. The only thing I can do with my regrets is understand them." And that's Kevin Costner. You know, Kevin Costner's had an amazing career, continues to have an amazing career. So that's a really good perspective hearing that from him. Here's another one. Nobody's perfect, so don't go out there and try to act like you got to live a perfect life. Be yourself and be happy with it. That's Chris Middleton with the Milwaukee Bucks. I think that's pretty good. And I don't think it's setting a low standard. I think that can be the confusing part where we say, well, if you're not striving for perfection, what are you striving for? No, you're striving to be your absolute best. We're talking about getting caught up in this part, as Kevin Costner said, where he doesn't want to be frozen. See, we get this paralysis of analysis that we're looking for so long and trying to be so perfect, and that you can't move on and do what you need to do. Also, we're living in an age of advertisement where we are perpetually disillusioned. I thought that was really powerful. I repeat that. We're living in an age of advertisement where we're perpetually disillusioned. The perfect life is spread before us every day, but it changes at a withers at a touch. J.B. Priestley. I think that's important because we're part of the advertising, machine as well with our social media. We're advertising our best. We're putting our best foot forward. So we are contributing to this look of, oh, look how great that is. You got to get the right shot. You got to get the right angle, or look at what this is. I think that's important to keep in mind. Another great quote was, "I'm exhausted by the idea that everyone is presenting this perfect life." That's Luke Goss. He says he's exhausted by the idea that everyone is presenting this perfect life. Yeah, tell me about it. And again, I speak to the social media piece where it kind of gives you this misrepresentation of what really life is. And you're saying, man, I can't even be out here in certain things because look how this person is presenting, or so many people are presenting this perfected, filtered life. Um, Stephanie Lab says, "You don't become an Olympic medalist overnight. And even after you do become an Olympian, it doesn't make everything go away and you have this perfect life." Isn't that something? That can be your goal from childhood as a teenager, to be an Olympic gold medalist. You want to be an Olympian in your sport and you work on that and you strive towards it. And guess what? You find the success. And it happens. And you're able to stand on that, podium and get a gold medal and represent your country. All your dreams have come true. But as she stated, it doesn't make your life perfect. Even when we achieve goals, it doesn't mean that perfection is what we have. It's still there. Life is only perfect when it's over. And I hate to be so morbid, but I think it's important to understand we rob ourselves, folks. We rob ourselves of the emotional capacity to enjoy what we've achieved, to say, okay, I'm good. I can do a little better next time. I get that as a PhD candidate and working on papers. And sometimes you can get so caught up that you don't want to even turn it in. The deadline closely approaching. Yeah, you're going over, you fly spec and making sure everything is right and it can be the best it can be. But at one point, you got to say, hey, man, at this time, this last read through, I'm sending it in. And in most cases, you'll get a better result because you do care. See, that's another thing I think is important to share within this time, that even though I'm saying that you can't be perfect until you're out of here, which is, that's, not an exciting thing to hear, but you are putting in the effort. It doesn't mean that you're not trying to put in the effort to find success in what you do. So try like this: progress, not perfection. Are you moving forward? That's a great, great way to evaluate things. Because I know we want to have this look where you can get all bullseyes, but that's just unrealistic. And it'd be great if it can happen. But again, going back to, let's talk about the progress, not the perfection. Just keep moving forward. Just keep working on your goals. Just keep finding peace, and then give yourself the relief to be able to enjoy what you've done, to enjoy your experiences, to enjoy your folks and your family and friends, and live a good life and get up and go again the next day. So I won't keep you guys too much on this Monday motivation. I'm looking forward to being in Detroit. I'll be over at Cody High School later on for the SPS Edge track and field tour. Looking forward to getting with Coach Michelle Mimi Watkins, a good friend and a great program over there, and just highlight all the great things our young people are doing and talk about some of these major issues that are happening, like name, image, and likeness for high school. You got the transfer portal, giving these young people some portal principles to think about as they navigate that, and also dealing with mental health. And that's going to be what's going to take place next month, June 20th at 7 p.m. at the East Lansing Public Library. It'll be viral. You'll be able to watch it online, that is, at YouTube, the SPS Edge, and it'll probably be on these platforms as well. And it'll be the State of Michigan High School name, image, and likeness, the transfer portal, and the mental health town hall, getting you ready for what's next. I'm looking forward to that, which is going to kick off rather a statewide effort to be able to educate the sports shareholders on these issues that are coming so you can find success. And lastly, life is only perfect when it's over. So right now, do your best and keep it moving. So with that being said, guys, thanks for tuning in. This is Lindsey Hollis with SPS, and I'll see you next time. Peace.